And we're live. So, welcome to the Open Circle. And today's the Halloween special. And the guests for today is Kara from Pagan Crafting.
Hello, hello.
And what happened? Okay. And then we have the Peggish Pagan.
Hello, hello. How's it going, everybody? Blessed Samhain and happy Halloween.
So today we're going to share some paranormal experiences, some Samhain traditions, and have our beverages.
It's cranberry juice, I swear.
Do you want to play the intro?
I just like to be extra.
Welcome to the Open Circle, an impactful live interview show and platform for pagans, witches, and all types of spiritual practitioners to share their unique perspectives and experiences. This show is a safe and inclusive space for everyone to share their voice and engage in open and respectful dialogue. Join us as we explore various spiritual paths and learn from each other's journeys. Don't miss out on this enlightening and empowering opportunity to gain new perspectives, deepen your spiritual knowledge, and connect with a vibrant community of seekers. Tune in and be a part of the conversation.
Love it. Love it.
I love every time I hear my husband's voice. Hi, Aurora.
What's up, Aurora?
Aurora's in the comments. Yeah, Mr. Spelling. Okay. So, how's everyone doing?
I'm doing well. I have been busier than a cat at a laser show for the past 3 weeks. This last week, I just wrapped up my old job. I'm taking a week off, and then I'm going to be starting a new job that is I get to work from home. It's like literally a unicorn. It's funny that I've been making that comparison, and now I'm dressed as one.
I love it.
So I'm hoping to have more time to dedicate to my channel. I have a whole list of things that I'd like to do. But thank you for having me on your live show. But yeah, just prepping, kind of using this time of year to do the reset. And somebody said something the other day about, and it spoke to me so much, just letting, like the leaves on the trees, just letting what doesn't serve me fall away, and
like that.
Taking that time to kind of, I keep drawing the hermit card too. So going inward and just taking the time to pause and just listen and look and try and get set for what is next, because I am definitely about to embark on a new adventure.
I love that. That's exciting. Which is new year, new adventure. That's awesome.
Yeah.
What's been going on with you, Kara?
Lots of art. I've been working on so many projects. I have a few things on the go. I have my first sponsor from this. I'm really excited. So I've been experimenting with the product and having fun with that. So I've been doing a whole bunch of videos and then going back and forth with the person who's sponsoring me, and just saying, I'm like, it's going to be witchy, just so you know. So I'm doing resin runes and stuff to do with my chakra divination plates. And I'm a chakra therapist, so I'm going to make a chakra plate and some chakra stones with it. So I'm super excited with that. And then I've been working on the Grimoire series, and we're cold where we are right now. We just got some snow, but we're supposed to be +8 tomorrow. That's Celsius only.
Snow already.
Yeah, we're already. It's dropping. The poor kids are going out trick-or-treating tomorrow in snowsuits and costumes. Wow. That's the Canadian thing. You like, do you buy it your size, your costume, or do you buy it 2 sizes bigger to fit over your snowsuit?
Oh my goodness. Wow. That's crazy. I'm used to snow in November, December, not October. Wow.
Yeah, that's why I have to pre-record some of my goodies, and then I'm putting in some of the fall and autumn into my videos because it'll melt and then it'll get snow again, and melt, get snow again. But
Wow.
so it's hard to do some scavenging outside for natural crafts. So I have to I have all kinds of twigs and branches and everything outside my door ready for me to cut and make stuff with in the winter.
Wow. I'm really
Yeah.
excited to see what you're making. Oh my gosh. That's
It's a-
awesome.
Same.
Very cool. So I just want to look into the comments really quickly. Aurora says, hi guys. Peggish Pagan, so good to see you on. Yeah, I'm glad to have you
Hi,
on.
Aurora.
And then we have Jenny. Says, hey Lavender. Okay, that's a personal conversation. Alondra, hey Alondra, hey girl, hey. Draven, hi. Lunar Sarah, hey girl. A lot of these people I know. Awesome. Okay. But
I dressed them up as a Yeti, right?
that's
Then he
cute.
There you go.
I like that. So, what are your Samhain traditions this time of year?
For me, I like going to the graveyard. So this year I got to find where my grandfather and grandmother and great grandparents were buried. I've been looking for that for like 10 years. I like to
Aw.
connect. I have Irish Ukrainian. It's kind of a feisty mix. But on the Ukrainian side, we do the blessing of the graves around Mother's Time. But I still like to go out and we go clean off the graves, make everything nice. It's kind of for the beginning of the new year, the Celtic New Year. So I kind of combine both kind of Celt and Ukrainian pagan traditions.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I like
that.
researching the pagan, Ukrainian pagan traditions. They're really, really cool. Every symbol, every color just has a meaning. It's so cool.
Oh, wow. That's awesome.
Mm-hmm. Change over the altar, fun stuff like that. But I'm kind of chill this time of the year. What about Peckish Pagan?
That's nice. So this has always been my favorite holiday as far as I'm concerned. You know, before I knew, I used to think that the Samhain was Samhain and it was a punk band and it was one of my favorites. I don't know if you guys, if anybody out there knows who I'm talking about, but when it was just Halloween for me, we were the family that had the huge bonfire in the backyard. And I still, I like to have fires on Halloween. So it's always been that celebration. So when I found out that it was, the new year on the wheel of the year, that I'm like, oh, that makes a lot of sense. And in 2020, my husband and I actually got married under that. It was kind of a dodgy effort. We weren't sure if we were going to have like an actual wedding. But because we already had it set in January that we were going to get married in a hotel, but it was a mansion. So all the rooms and stuff you could rent out. We were just going to have people do like rooms and then, rent your room. We'll get you a box dinner. But at the end, everything ended up opening up. And we only had like 30 people anyway. So, the tables, I made sure that they were 8 feet apart. So it was really kind of cool to have that experience. And when there was so much uncertainty in the world, to just take that energy, not just of Samhain, of the time, the dawning of a new beginning, but just to take that next step into our lives with him under not just a full moon, but a blue moon. And I don't know where this comes from or if anybody else, and this is kind of a side note, blue moons, the whatever magic you draw in on a blue moon or whatever you work on a blue moon, that lasts until the next blue moon. I've always had success with that, although that's was it a UPG unverified personal notices?
Yeah.
But it was really important to me that as soon as I found out it was a blue moon and Samhain, I'm like, we're done. That's when we're getting married. He was all on board.
Oh, cool.
So yeah, it's just fires, new beginnings, and even it just kind of happens this way. This year it's a new job and I'm leaving one Very high stress environment, and now I get to work from home 3 days a week. I just got
Very
work slippers.
nice. Love that. That's awesome.
And what do you get up to?
Videos. That's like been consuming my life lately, but like I'm trying to record like as I'm celebrating the Samhain season. That way, it's not for like show or anything. Like I'm just trying to record as I go. You know what I mean? And I don't know. Things have just been interesting this year. I don't know. It's just more active because like Samhain for me is normally like a time, reflect on my spiritual growth throughout the year, but like things have just been so like, I don't know, active this year. And I don't feel like I have a specific tradition, but like I try to do something different every Samhain. Last year I used my spirit board with a friend, and I'm going to try to get a hold of my grandfather this year now that I know what I'm doing. So I don't know, that's my plan.
That's just how I'm going. This is chill for me this year. I don't have any big spells or plans. My Jeep broke down last week, so I didn't get to do a couple spells on the channel, and I've just been like,
What?
I just want to relax.
I feel that.
Put down some offerings on the altar, say thank you, do a journey, and call it a day.
Aw.
Now that you said that, I just realized that around this time of year, I always clear out my garden, like any of the flowers that die off, and actually save them. I don't know if you can see these over here, like all my dead things. Some sunflowers. There's different flowers. They've lost the petals, but they leave these nice things. And then I'm looking over in the corner. I don't know if I can grab, but I make like bouquets, like a floral arrangement out of all the dead things. And they're so pretty because it's, if you think about if you know what a hydrangea, those dried hydrangeas look like.
Yeah.
And then my neighbor grew some hibiscus, and she's like, can you cut these down for me? I was like, yeah, can I keep the stems? And she's looking at me. She's like, yeah, sure. But I have daylily fever. So just taking all those things and anything from like, I'll go to walks in the park and things like that, and just take a few snippets of something and just kind of draw in that, that there's beauty in things that have died off. Just that kind of sleepy time of winter, just, kind of soaking that in and making it something pretty. I have to post that on Instagram or something.
I love that. And like you're honoring like, the plant allies that you've grown, and I love that. Yeah. I haven't done anything with my garden died in August. Like I found out that my dog had cancer, and then like depression just made me like let my garden go. And I hate that because like my garden is something that I always tend to, but like this year's been fucked. So
that's part of a green witchery. When I was going through a rough time, all my plants suffered.
Yeah.
You can tell because I wasn't watering them. I wasn't tending. I wasn't fussing and talking to them. And it's funny, you're not out in the garden. It can happen. That happened to me like over 10 years ago. Yeah, that's interesting. That can happen too when we're not out there talking in our garden and out and about.
Yeah, because like, we have an impact on our plants, and I feel like they could feel that. And like, I feel like they take hits for us too, like something bad happened, and then like my rosemaries died, and I feel like I was partially shielded from that. And like those rosemaries were there for a specific reason to do that, but like I guess it works.
You can thank them still, even though you've kind of, if you'd recognize it probably absorbed and helped you. Yeah. But that was their job.
Yeah. Look at the comments so I don't miss anything. I need to do some full moon cleansing. Oh, hi, Ivy's Grove. Welcome. Andrea. Hey, Andrea. That's the Andrea from my server. Yeah, okay. I know who you are. So does anyone have any like paranormal experiences or ghost stories, anything like that?
Lots.
I have a couple too. Yeah.
Oh, I'm excited.
Well, I'll kick that one off. So my whole life, I have been able to I when I started, I got my first I say occult book in
Mhm.
'91, and it was a Raymond Buckland book, and
Oh,
ever since
wow.
then it was kind of on and off until um, maybe my early 20s. And
Mhm.
then, again, took longer stints of just studying, just, varied things, all kinds of different religions. But I always had this ability to do something that I call see across the veil,
Okay.
because we know that this time of year, the veil between the worlds is the thinnest. Um,
Mhm.
and for me, it seems like it's about that thin all year long. And particularly when someone close to me um, either has a message or is about to pass.
Okay.
And the most recent one, and this is when I realized what a profound insight I've been given. My husband's grandfather, his name was Geza. My husband and his family, they were all born in Hungary, and they
Wow.
defected while it was still, under communist rule. They defected in like late '70s, got to the United States in the early '80s, and so Papa, um, he was in his late '80s and had developed dementia. He was in a long-term care facility, and he was doing great. And one morning I woke up. He'd gotten to the point where he did not speak English anymore. Um,
Mm.
he knew it, but at that point it just wasn't. He didn't have it in his faculties. I'm not 100% sure how that condition works, but that's where he was. Still just cracking jokes and being sassy and just as much of a peach as he could be. But
Mhm.
I woke up one morning and was overwhelmed. I'm I'm getting it right now
Wow.
with
I'm sorry.
sadness and joy at the same time. I don't know if you know that feeling. Just that bittersweet pain, and felt so much love in my heart, and could see it was like a wedding reception, and everybody was dressed to the nines. But there was no bride and groom. It was like the tea dances.
Okay.
And I told my husband, I said, honey, I don't think Papa's much longer for this earth. It just, I knew that that was him. And I knew the love that I felt in my heart was
Mhm.
his wife, my husband's grandmother, who I'd never met. She passed in the '90s. Um, so I don't even think that we had met at that point. Um, but he's like, no, I just talked to my mom yesterday. He's doing fine. And then, I was like, oh, well, sorry, baby. I don't, I thought I was being silly. I just, marginalized the idea that that was something that I could do. And at 9:30, he texted me and he said that his grandfather had passed away. And then
Aw.
I didn't understand the wedding reception, like seeing everybody dressed up and kind of waiting for him to join this party, until we had his celebration of life a couple weeks later, and found out that when they were in Hungary, his mom was sharing the story about how they would go to these tea dances, and that was the best time he ever had. He always said that he loved that so
Oh,
much.
Aw.
So I don't know what happens when we shuffle this mortal coil, but I'm pretty sure that is the kind of thing that waits for us.
Aw.
mhm.
Just based on
Aw.
that, and kind of what I have felt in other circumstances. But that's the most recent one, and that's the one that really solidified the fact that this is a gift. This is something that isn't. I've tried to kind of say, oh, it's just a crapshoot. I'm just lucky guesses, and it's not. It is something that I have been working on. I actually got Matt Aron's Psychic Witch,
Love that
and my
book.
daughter was telling me about how, when we know that she has a gift too. So I let her borrow that copy. So I'm getting it done with Audible right now. But
Aw.
I've listened twice now, so it's just one of those things. That's how I learn. Like, listen the first time, read it the first time for,
Mhm.
just to get the gist, do it again, take notes, do it again to review, and then usually by that time I retain whatever information it is that I need. But
There's a lot to
that
unpack
was
in
probably
that
the most
book.
profound paranormal experience. Say that again?
There's a lot to unpack in that book. There's so much in The Psychic Witch.
Mm.
The exercises, but they're
that
so
one.
effective.
Yeah. I'm still working on the one where, like, you count down from 100 and, like, you visualize the numbers. Like, I lose track half the time.
You know what I see? You know how the digital, like the 8, and then you just knock off the legs and it's a 7, and then it's a 6.
Yeah.
That's what I have the most success with is picturing the numbers counting down like that.
Okay.
I usually fall
Now is
asleep
this
though.
for a meeting someone from the other side, like mediumship? I haven't
I
read the
think
book.
that
So.
particular one is for focus.
For focus.
Yeah,
Okay.
just so that you can focus on something, and it does help.
Yeah.
And I don't know if I'll ever get to the point where I can talk to others, but I've had some other things like, pardon?
I could teach you.
Please, let's
I,
do it.
there's
Let's
a
do
way, I
it.
have a
Lessons with
there's a
Kara.
way there's a way it's like it's a guided meditation. It's close to hypnosis, but you're in complete control. So I can't tell you to do anything that you don't want to do, which
Yeah.
never can happen in hypnosis anyway. But this guided meditation is a way where I would walk you simply in the beginning. I'm going to walk through it really fast. Walk through down a hallway. There's doors. There's 10 doors. We're going to count down. It's like a hotel. I use an old vintage style hotel. I want it like a 1800s, like with rich mahogany. It smells of rich mahogany and leather bound books, shit like that.
I
And
encourage the
then
leather.
and then at the end we open up and it's light. We walk through and we just start off as a sacred space. I have a garden that I go up into, and I would guide you all the steps through that to that process. There's one big oak door. I use a big English oak door. We walk through that. There's my garden. I have it set up. I painted it, I design. I meditate there. Don't ever invite fairies in there. They don't leave ever. Yeah, I abandoned the place for 10 years and forgot about it. I found a painting of it, came back to it, meditated, found that they were gone. Destroyed my garden. But they partied hard. They were a different type of fairies that I was used to. So I didn't invite fairies into my garden and that place. But anyway, back to the story. What you do is you go to the next door and you invite in whoever you want to talk to. And I do that when I read my tarot cards. I do a thing called Hello from Heaven. And that's when you just invite them through the door and you sit down with them. I have a little table and chairs. We talk first. I can ask them questions and then I can do my tarot reading. But meantime, we'll meet with them. I'll find out what kind of tea. Some of them tell me they like crumpets or cookies. So I have that ready before I come in. And I'm serving this one little grandmother tea, and she was so cute. And then she turned into a little girl because that's how she is in her afterlife. She was playing with her sister all the time, and both of them were, gosh, she must have looked 8, 12, just little, and a white little dress. And she just like, so in her afterlife, she came to me through the door as an elder, which the lady last saw her of that I was doing the reading for, but she was a little girl at the table. We were munching down on cookies and peppermint tea the whole time. It was awesome. Yeah. So there's so many different ways to meet them. Yeah. We can do all kinds of cool sessions. We can do something on another show too.
Right on. I'm down.
Yeah. We can have some fun. Just don't bite the fairies in.
No.
Except for that fairy. Starlight's a good fairy.
These wings, like, they turn on and they light up, but like I can't reach it. I can't reach it. And like I tried to, do some testing, and like it wouldn't work very well with the camera, so that's why they're off, but they're really cute. I'll like post a picture on Instagram or on YouTube or something, or it might be in my vlog. Who knows? But they're cute. So Kara, what like paranormal or ghost stories have you
Oh, I got anything from when I was a baby in the crib, seeing the ghost that used to walk down the hallway every single night. He was 25 years old, blonde man, and he'd walk. I can hear his steps, and he'd stop at my door, and I can feel him lean through the door, check on me, take 3 steps, walk away. I'd hear that every single night from I was an infant to till I was uh, New Year's Eve when I was 20 years old. It was the last time I saw him. So that one I did, and then I grew restless for the next couple of years after that because I got so used to hearing the steps every night to not have it. And then a medium told me that I have to find him now. He's waiting for me to find. So that pushed me to become a medium because I wanted, as a little girl, I wanted to reach out. I was missing him. And I found his name was Christopher. I found out he was actually my mother's firstborn, who she lost before me.
Aw.
And she didn't know that I knew that, and until we talked one day, and I'm like, it's Christopher. Christopher used to come check on me when I was little. She's like, how do you know Christopher's name? So she never told me, and I was like, he used to check on me every night. So that was a light one, that it was such a comfort for me to feel that every night since I was little. I was knew that they were family, but I didn't know who they were until I would focus on them more as an older child and try to figure it out that they were my brother who was born. Yeah. But he grew up with me, and he was older than me, and he'd always stay, and he was growing with me. It was really cool.
Wow.
So that was kind of my first experience. I've had everything from extremely scary, punishing, traumatic. I have had PTSD from poltergeists.
Ooh.
At a place I used to live at. I used to paint skateboards. And I used to come home and the skateboards would be turned upside down. My paintings would all be turned upside down. And I didn't want my daughter to be scared, so I used to tell her it was fairies. So we used to leave offerings of cheese and treats for the fairies.
Yeah.
It was probably good for them to help us out anyway. Because even it was that house, I couldn't even grow plants in that house. I tried. I could grow some ivy would grow. What's that?
It was like a goosebumps.
Oh God! It would just. Everybody said I was just a light, but there was so much window, but just no light would ever get in. What is that? I don't know if I can show you.
That's scary.
I'm gonna go upwards this way. I have my bookshelf. That plant that's I can't turn it. I got all my crafts on that table. My God, I'm just a mess when I keep trying to let's not show you the plant because I'm gonna show you my mess of out of handness.
Pile of chaos.
But yeah, it was that plant that actually that's the only one that would grow, and it's like a viney plant, and it only because it doesn't grow in any light. That place, the lights would turn off and on. I would go downstairs, do the laundry. It was so dark down there. Everything would turn off as I go, shut down behind me, and I just freeze. And I'm like, start yelling. I'm like, turn it back on now. Wow. And they would all the lights to go back on. I'm like, that's good. That's fine. My boyfriend at the time that lived with me for 2 years, wound up being his caretaker more than his girlfriend. He had a very bad back, and he wound up having to sleep in the second room downstairs. So he had his own bed because he had to sleep with the leg up and the one arm up and the head one way, and there wasn't enough for 2 people. So he was downstairs, and he always said his guardian angel always leans over the bed and looks after me every night. And I'm like, I swear I haven't felt that kind of presence. I'm thinking. So I started focusing on the edge. I went down one day, he was sleeping down there, and there was this entity-like creature that was skinny and long with elongated arms and spikes, and it was leaning over his bed, hunching over. And he says, "Hey, that's my guardian angel." I'm like, I saw what it actually looked like. He saw something totally different.
Oh.
And he had Mormon background, so I kept a lot of my pagan ways quiet except what was on my bookshelf. So he was praying to this thing and asking it to protect the house. And I said, that's what, and all of us were sad. All of us were going through hard times. So this thing was putting it, I was fighting and I was putting a protection bubble around my house. And then all I could do was focus on my daughter's room and put that
Oh.
protection around her room, and I couldn't focus on me anymore. So I kept her, and she was good and okay, and then she was sleeping better. But he was praying to this thing that it was an entity or demonic. I did not know. I was like, oh my God.
Whoa, that's
Wow.
scary.
Oh, it wasn't until we broke up. We were actually just best friends. We didn't break up in any bad. We never argued. We just fell out of love. And I said, I think it's time to move on. But when he moved on, it's like the house lifted and followed him.
Wow.
These entities had followed him. I found out later with his back pains and everything, he got accidentally addicted through oxycodone, oxycontin, racial fentanyl. The doctors put him on. So he was accidentally addicted in such a dark place. He would be in his hoodie in his room and praying to this thing for asking for help, not knowing it was probably feeding off him. He's giving it energy back and forth, and it was creating all this. So once he left, I actually went to a friend who was also a witch, and we focused on him and tried to bring everything off him. And our house is no longer the same. I didn't have anything problems in the house after that. But there was, I'm trying to, there we go. But there was so much going on. My daughter was telling me she was seeing ghosts, the tall man. She was having nightmares. And she's 3 years old at the time. She's 17 now. So it's just constant. We hear dishes move around. We hear things around. My keys would disappear. I'd scream, give me my keys back. I'm going to be late for work. Boom, they'd show up.
Wow.
It was always something moving around. And once he left, it was better. But yeah, he was creating something he didn't know that was fighting against us. So that's one of our bad stories. I got more.
That's terrifying.
It was. I actually
That's
still,
scary.
I can't drive by that house. When I have to go to the pool or the rec center, I will drive the long way around, because even driving near my old place, I want to go up to them and like, do you experience anything? And knock on the person's door. I'm like, you probably should move because there's something still here. Like when I left, I think there was still something residual. But I'm scared if I go there, it's going to find me and see me and latch onto me.
Yeah.
Because poltergeists can do that too.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, they can. Wow. And it's crazy how, like, that entity, sorry, I'm trying to adjust my volume, how that entity was so deceptive. Like, he thought it was something guarding him. Like,
Saw something
they're
beautiful.
tricksters. They really can be. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No, it's true. I'm agreeing. Yeah. No, it was what he saw too. He was tricking him for sure.
That's scary. It's like,
Yeah.
sometimes it's like, how do you really know what you're connecting with sometimes? That, ooh, heebie-jeebies.
Well, I questioned if I was seeing the right thing myself too.
Uh-huh.
Like, was he seeing, and I was not feeling good, maybe mentally? Was I seeing the wrong thing? But then when I focused on it, the depth of despair, and I felt everything he had been going through, like just lonely, because he'd been going through so much pain. So he'd been battling it alone. So they fed off that too. And I found out years later that a lot of this may be controversial to say, but people agree with this or not, but I've discovered that a lot of sometimes some healers do have entities in them, because the entities help them, will help them heal.
Yeah.
You could even do Reiki or even massage therapists. Legitimately, the energy is going in and helping, and they're exchanging the energy. They're also sucking the energy out of the customer, the client, as well as using the energy of the healer.
Yeah.
And I have come across some people like that, and that's another story for another. I could probably share that one too. That one was absolutely frightening. I saw an entity come at me, and a lady knew it was in her, and kind of almost like she pulled back. It was like a hiccup. Wow. We'll get to that one. We'll get to that one in a bit.
So I had some experience. This was 2021. there's a tree out in my front yard, and like I've wanted it gone for a while just because it makes so many damn leaves, and like it's blocking the light from where I want my plants, and like I just talking shit on this tree. I don't want it there. And then all of a sudden, I'm getting sleep paralysis. I can't move in my sleep, and I feel like I'm being pulled down into the ground. It's really weird to describe. It feels like possession, but it also feels like you're being pulled down, 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 and it's like a really like dark, not fun feeling. I don't know if you've ever experienced sleep paralysis, but it's scary.
Yes, I have
Sounds
when I was
scary.
little.
And the one time it happened, my eyes were open. So like I'm partially blind, but I could see. And so like because of the sleep paralysis, I've been putting energy bubbles up around me when I sleep. And there was this like very tall, skinny, lengthy, like slender man looking thing. And it was bouncing off of my energy bubble. It was like going back and like lunging forward and like running at my energy bubble, trying to find like a weak point to get through. I'm glad my eyes were open that time. But seeing that was like, I guess that was like the most terrifying experience I've ever had.
It sounds terrifying. I'm scared right now.
Well, you're not in control, especially in a vulnerable state.
Yeah. Yeah. And I would cleanse, nothing would work. Like I've used every method possible, and it just wasn't working. And I just went through, like, I did a multi-step cleanse. I cleaned the floors, I cleaned the house, like physically clean. I did the windows, and like, I think I used cedar to cleanse, like a cedar bundle. And I felt like I was just chasing it around the house. And then I opened my fireplace. I just had this like weird intuitive hit, open the fireplace and cleanse in there. And like I felt it go through there. Um, and it was gone after that. But my husband, during the time this was going on, he saw what he described as like a black sperm. Um, it was like this like black saucer with like a tail, and it like zipped across the floor. He said that was going on when I was trying to cleanse at one point. And this man, he's an
Oh,
atheist. He doesn't believe in anything.
I've
Well,
seen
he lives with
those.
a witch, and now he does.
He believes in something now.
Yeah. Oh, it was scary. But so I think it might have been Faye. I think it might not have been a spirit, but I think I pissed off a Faye. I think that's their tree out there, and I'm just gonna leave it alone. And I've been giving them offerings. I apologized, and I had to do a whole little thing out there just saying sorry. That was really disrespectful of me. I've learned a lot of respect for nature through that experience, and tried to do a nice little thing for it, but that's my story.
Nothing since then, though?
No. Well, kind of, but I think it's something else. There's like something that's like lingering over on the left side of my house, and you can like hear it walking back and forth. And I used to have to like walk into my house backwards because I felt like it was going to lunge at me, and it was a similar feeling. So,
Ooh.
I don't know.
Follow your intuition. It worked last time.
Yeah. Like, I feel like I can't get through my gate because, like, before we had a fence put in, as they were putting it in, they didn't have the caps on the top of the fence, and I lined that sucker with, like, herbs, with crystals. Like, I just put stuff in each of, like, the little fence pole caps before they sealed them, and I think that's why I can't get through, but I feel like it's related to what happened before. I don't know, and it's only during the darker half of the year where I experience this thing over there. So I don't know. Like, I've had a lot of other paranormal experiences, but, like, I'll save those for another time.
I think the closest thing I've come to kind of a ghost story that people usually associate. I don't know if you remember me asking, like,
Try to find a spot.
are the Claires considered part of the paranormal experience?
Yeah.
The town where I live in, we have a river. There is a bridge, and if you do any kind of, they have the book on the history of the town, and before there was a bridge, there was a ferry, and
Mm.
that ferry, it was a tragic accident. It caught on fire, and people died. And I was crossing that bridge, and something kind of latched on to me, like if you've ever been in the water with someone who can't swim, how they kind of grab onto you
Uh-huh.
because they because you can swim. Um, so that was one of those things, and I already knew the history of what had happened there, and it was a man, suspenders, kind of the late, just before the turn of the last century, um, attire, and I just said, listen, don't grab me like that. You are no longer of this earth. It is okay for
Mhm.
you to go. It was gone. He was gone. But it was one of those things where it scared. I had to pull over because it jolted me that much, because it was almost, I've never had a panic attack, but it's what a panic attack sounds like. And all I'm doing is trying to drive across the bridge. So I shouldn't be having a panic attack. But
Wow.
I could see him. I could feel him. I felt cold. I felt wet. Um, so it just kind of really was overwhelming. I'd never had anything like that happen before or since then. Um, but every time I cross that bridge, I think of what happened there, and just try to kind of, honor that, and understand that there are things that happened there, um,
Mhm.
that people have forgotten about. So when we go to cemeteries this time of year, anytime I go to a cemetery, I actually try to stay away from them this time of year, because I don't want something like that to happen again. Um, but just to go to the gravestones that are clearly old, that are likely not
Mm.
visited. At some point, you don't ever really think about this, but there is going to be a time, every person that's ever existed, that somebody is going to say their name for the last time,
Yeah.
and people aren't really going to think of them anymore. Maybe if you're
Right.
famous and you leave your mark on this world, I mean, that's one thing, but still, for the most part, most people. So and it doesn't mean that they didn't exist. It doesn't mean that their experiences um, weren't meaningful. So just to
Mhm.
to give them a little show of respect, just honor the fact that they were a soul that existed in this earthly realm. I try to clear off those, and if I the only cemetery that I go to where I leave flowers is to my grandmother's, and that's a few hours away. So, but when I go, I take two plants, and um, leave one at one of the older graves, because there are several there, and I feel like every time I go, there are more that I don't feel like I saw the last time. I don't know what that's about, but
Mm.
Mhm.
but that's kind of my thing. But just I do the same thing on that bridge. Just like when I go over
Wow.
one of the main bridges in downtown Cleveland, I just happen to know that there are homeless people that live under that bridge. So I take a minute,
Mhm.
and you know, I'm grateful for having food on my table and a car to drive, and shoes on my feet. So I digress. Little things like that.
I was about to ask if you were on the East Coast.
Yes.
Like,
Yeah.
yeah.
I'm in the Cleveland
There's
suburbs,
just this sounds really
shores of
weird, but
Lake
there's
Erie.
something really familiar about you, and I'm like, "What is it?"
I get that a lot. I get that a lot. I have a familiar
Yeah.
face.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm
But
in,
thank you.
Pennsylvania, so, like, that's close.
Okay.
Um,
Yeah, this
yeah.
this new job that I have to drive to Pennsylvania twice a month.
Oh,
So
wow.
we'll
That's
talk. We'll
cool.
talk.
Oh, hi, Tuva.
Yay! He was able to
Hi.
make
Hi.
it.
Yeah. Let's see. Just seeing what I missed out on. Okay. And there's an Andrea. Yeah, okay. I'm just making sure. Wow. I don't know why. Like that was weird. Like I'm speechless just because of that like weird experience that like you told me about. Like, and I just can't like shake this like familiar feeling. It's really weird.
Past lives.
I don't know what to talk about now.
I don't know what to do with my hands.
I can tell about that time that that healer had that entity inside of it that helped me out.
Yeah.
Yeah, I want to hear about this.
It actually did help me
Uh-huh.
too. I had cords that were attached. I was actually, well, I'll start from the beginning. I was in British Columbia, Canada, and I used to be a tattoo artist. I'm retired now. So I used to go there once a month in the summer, or once a year for a month in the summertime, and just tattoo and camp and mountain bike. And it was awesome.
Sounds
And I just, as a whim, for something for entertainment, I was like, I should get my tarot cards read. So I was like, way I go, and I booked an appointment, and it said energy reading or energy healing, and I said, huh. And there was a bunch of other services available, and I chose that one, and I'm like, all right, there must be a reason for it. And it was a little bit more than my budget was allowed. I'm like, must be needing it. Went in, it was very unique. She started doing that. She said I had a bunch of cords wrapped around me and I had a hole in my stomach. And it was mainly due to an ex-boyfriend. And I'm like, yes, I'm actually having problems with him. And she goes, she still has a lot of cords on you. And there's actually hooks in your heart, like meat hooks, tons of them tons of them hanging into your heart. And a giant empty hole where these cords are pulling you, and then the energy's going, cords going inside. I'm like, I'm not in love with him. There's like nothing there. We didn't break very well. Like there's no love. I don't understand why there's a cord. Why am I connected to him? She's like, no, he's connected to you. And also in that same house where there was a poltergeist, he we had experienced a lot of weird stuff with him as well. And I believe he had a something in him since he was about 4 years old. And I don't believe in demons till I met him.
Wow.
I saw something one night with him, so I knew that he was probably draining my energy. And a lot of them entities or people that have things inside of them or share entities and share a symbiote relationship, they like empaths. They like light beings and healers, and that's what I am. So he was trying to drain my energy. So she did some work on me where she stood behind me. I got to get my hands right behind my back and actually made all the sounds of the chakra as she's going up, and I could actually feel something starting to pull out of me. And it got stuck in my throat. We managed to get that. I lost my breath for about a minute. I had to hold my breath while she got this. It felt like something was crawling out of me. She said, okay, we're going to use a giant sword. Who can you use? I'm like, oh, okay, I'm going to use Ulrich, my protector guide. He's got a big sword. So we use that to slice the cords. And I kept bugging her over and over again near the end of the session. She did some other stuff to help me. And I kept asking. By the third time I asked again, and I said, why? Like, why is there cords and why is he attached? I understand. And then she was getting irritated with me and she didn't want to answer me. And then I pressed her again. I'm like, I need to know, like, does he still love me? And that's what I'm thinking naively. And she just put her hand on the table and she leaned forward and this look on her face. And she just said, because you taste good. Jeez. And all of a sudden she realized what she said and leaned back and her face went like really like flat again. And I was like, and I'm like, okay. And and I just wanted to get out of there fast. And I paid her money and I fucking ran out of there. I just got out of there so fast. And and all I heard was because you taste good. And I realized she wasn't a good soul. There was something in her and that exchange she was taking at the same time as helping as well. And I to this day, I've seen a lot of weird stuff. I've even been in the military and seen some weird stuff. and some
Wow.
shit, and that has never scared me more than anything in all my life. It felt like a Lord of the Rings, you know, when that wonderful blonde fairy is all beautiful and white and everything, and also she goes, "Ah,"
Yeah.
and she's in another, and also she
Mhm.
snaps back. That's exactly what it reminded me of.
Wow.
Oh,
And
that's
it,
so
And how would she know
creepy.
if she wasn't getting a little taste herself? Ooh.
yuppers, because I
Mm.
kept
Ooh.
bugging her, and she was, and her, even her body language, she was just pulling back, and I'm like, I don't understand. I understand. Does he love me still? What do I have to do? Some protection work? Tell me, like, do I know? Because I taste good. It was my
That's creepy.
energy. Yeah, it was creepy. Yeah.
Oh
Well, try
my
to think of it
god.
as, well, what do I taste like? Cookies? Do I
Yes.
taste like candy? Anytime something scares me, I try to do the
Gingerbread witch.
ridiculoso, like just put a funny bent on it. You were talking about PTSD earlier. I actually had PTSD, and this person who had was the source of my trauma.
Mm.
I would have nightmares. I would wake up crying, sweating, like all the classic symptoms. I was avoiding situations, and then I knew that I had worked through it when um, one night I pictured her, and she is not a girly girl, but I pictured her dressed up as a drag queen, and it was hilarious. And I knew at that point, and that's when I started. I'm like, well, anything that makes me uncomfortable, anything that's kind of scary, I try to put it in like a kind of that ridiculoso bent, of just, yeah, but that's still scary. I don't want anybody tasting parts of me that aren't up for tasting. But still. Hey,
Hey, Aurora.
I love your hat.
Hi.
Yeah, you look so cute.
Oh, thanks. It's a wizard hat, technically.
So cute. I love it.
I like how we're all fantastical. I feel like we could be our own movie. We've got two witches, an elf fairy, and a unicorn.
Love it. It's so cute.
It looks like Tuva wants the link. Tuva, do you want to?
It is in.
It's in the Discord under collaborations.
Under Kara's Discord.
Yeah.
If we can only fit 4, because I've told a few stories, I can jump out for a bit and let Tova in.
I could kick my husband out. Because, sorry, sweetie, I'm gonna kick you out.
I'm not even in there.
Okay, well, I'm gonna kick you out.
Okay,
For now.
fine. I see
no.
how it is.
Can you be backstage and like not?
That's what I've been doing.
No, but I'm asking like it won't like take up a slot for you being backstage.
No, it shouldn't.
Okay.
I'll be creepily back here watching.
Yeah, be a creep. Okay.
Okay.
Well, apparently we could add Tuva because look, my husband's here. So like if he's not here, then Tuva could come in.
That's cool how many we
Yeah.
could add.
Yeah, I have the free StreamYard too. I am not monetized. I can't afford that.
Tuva, get in here.
Yeah, let me kick my
In
husband
my
out.
underwear. Well, just point the camera up then, Tova.
She can also not have the camera on if she doesn't want to. Like here, like with my hubby, like you see his icon. Like you can have the camera disabled if you want.
No one wants to see this.
Oh my god, shut up.
Your stories are immense. Holy smokes. Everyone here has really good stories.
So what's yours?
So I want to say I pick up more on energy and animals. So my stories mostly surround animal sightings, animal connection. rather than human, and I'm sort of thankful for that, honestly. Like, but and when I mean sightings, I mean like actual feel, like seeing them physically in front of me.
Wow.
And I the first okay, so this is the first ghost story that I've ever had, and I was in college. And I did an exchange program in England, and our school was, I don't know if anybody here would be familiar with it, but it was in Dartington, which is this tiny village in England, in Devon, and our school was on the top of a hill, and our dorms were at the bottom of the hill, and it was about a 15-minute walk from the top of the hill to the bottom of the hill, and our classes ended at like, I don't know, 5 or something like that, but the library was open, and there was a pub too, so that you could be wandering around till about 9:30 or 10 in the evening. So this particular evening, it was kind of cold and damp, as it is in England, and I was walking from the library that had just closed down back to my dorm at the bottom of the hill, and it was very dark. There weren't any streetlights or anything. And this is like the quintessential ghost story. And there was one road that went from the top to the bottom, and then there were like footpaths along the road on either side, but there was like a tree canopy along the road, so it was darker on the footpaths. So what I would do is walk down the middle, because I didn't carry like a flashlight or a torch with me at all. So I was making my way down the middle of the road walking, and it was a foggy night, so there were like rolls of fog tumbling down the hill, of course, right? And I felt like a shiver run up my spine, and something, I don't know what, told me to just turn around. And I turned around, and at that moment there was like a roll of fog coming towards me, and there was like what was either a dog or a wolf in it, and it was like coming towards me, and I was like, ugh! And that was it. And I was like, what just happened? Like, I have absolutely no idea what just, I was like, I know what I saw. I felt it before I even saw it. So something was there, you know? And I stood there for a few minutes, just kind of like, not knowing what to do. And then finally I just turned around and like kept going down to my dorm. And that was my first sighting, I should say.
Ooh.
That's so cool.
It was cool. It was a really cool experience, like.
That's awesome.
Yeah, because when I was a kid, I was like, I'd go ghost hunting and things like that, but I think if I had ever come across something, I would have crapped my pants and like had PTSD. You know what I mean? Like, but it was also something I very much wanted to see and believe in. And until I had that experience, like, I wasn't sure, and that just solidified it for me. And I was like, oh, okay, this was digestible for me, and it was cool. Like,
baby steps.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So
you said that was in Devon?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
There's a lot of like traditional witchcraft based in that area.
Yeah. I bet.
Yeah. There we go.
Hi, Tuva.
Hi.
And honestly, like our school was in a Dartington Hall is a very old, like medieval place. It's an arts like center now with all kinds of stuff that happens. It's not even the school anymore, but it's been through so many people have inhabited that area, that property for hundreds of years, like there's even like a little cemetery on campus as well. So
wow.
Oh,
yeah, it was beautiful. It was very stately with like the stone buildings and yeah.
Oh, cool.
So you went to Hogwarts.
So I went to a version of Hogwarts for a little bit, yeah.
I love that.
Oh, by the way, speaking of cauldrons, I mean, I made a version, not exactly your recipe, Starlight, but
Yeah.
Birdie has something to say.
Oh,
We have guests. We have guests, my dear. Yeah. I made it with, I did your simple syrup, but with coconut. And then I added lemon ginger bubbly water to it. It is so good.
ooh. I bet that's
Can you hear
good.
me?
Love that.
Yes, Tuva, we can hear
I
you.
can't hear you.
Oh, she can't hear us.
She can't hear us. That might be a part of her device.
We can hear you.
We can hear you. Yeah.
I can't hear you. Hang on. Hang on. Hi. I'm here.
She can't hear us.
Yeah,
That might
I'm
be
back.
a part of her device.
You can hear me. I can hear you. It's okay. Yeah, cool.
She's so cute.
I should
I
write.
think
We
it's
should
in
write that
that.
we could
Hang
hear
on.
her.
Hang on.
Oh, yeah, it's a good idea.
I think she's trying to get the tech figured out.
What's going on? It's
Oh no. Is that my computer lagging?
I don't know what's happened.
We should write that we could hear her.
Oh boy. There we go. Okay, now I'm. Oh shit. Let me see. Is that my computer lagging?
Oh, she has her screen on still, so we can hear us.
Oh.
Oh. Wow, there's a delay too.
Let's sing it around.
Can you hear my voice?
Oh, she
Make
has
new
her
friends, but keep the old. One is silver and the other's
Hang
gold.
on. Hang on.
Did you ever sing that one when you were a kid?
I forget where you
No.
jump in. Yes.
I think you jump in on the second verse. Make new friends, but keep the old. One is silver and the other. Oh, never mind. One is silver and the other's gold.
Yeah, I remember the song. I just forget. I think it's after you say make new friends.
Oh, it is?
By the time we figure this out, she'll be back.
Aurora, you have a gorgeous singing voice. Like, why are you hiding this talent from us? Like,
I remember the song.
That's hilarious. Thank you.
Studio.
Sorry.
Studio.
Yes, right, Alondra. Girl Scouts. That's exactly.
Aurora, you have a gorgeous singing voice. Like,
She's gotta turn off her. Let's message Tuva. Maybe she can turn off her screen with us playing in the background.
oh yeah, hold on. Let me. I think I can.
Right, Alondra. Girl.
I'm muted for now until she gets things figured out.
Cool. But she can hear us, so.
Oh, who? What? Why's there two? Wait, what the hell? What is going on here? Add the stream. There's two Tuvas.
I'm still in, but
We can hear you.
could
Can
you hear
us?
me?
We can hear you.
Can you hear me?
Wait, what the hell?
Don't know what's going on here.
She's lagging.
Add the stream.
Oh,
Yeah.
dear, oh dear.
There's two Tuvas.
What's going
Yeah.
on?
Oh my goodness. We can hear you.
That's what it's saying, that you can see and hear me, but you can't. Oh, goodness.
Yeah.
I think we'll
I
have
don't know what
leave
to
it,
do.
guys.
There's two of her.
I don't think we're tonight.
I can figure. We can hear you.
Oh. We can hear you. There's two of her.
You can.
Okay. What about this one?
Oh dear, I'm sorry, guys. I did try.
That's okay. Technical issues happen.
Oh, you can.
It
Well,
happens.
I can tell a story if you want. There's a lag.
Yeah.
Can you hear? Wait, she has to hear us because we can hear us reverbing from her. That's okay. Technical issues happen. Oh, you can. It happens. I can tell a story if you want. Unless Tuva, like, another idea is you could like type it out and like we can read it.
I can hear you.
Us reverbing from her. That's okay. So you can't.
What's going on?
Unless Tuva, like,
I think she's listening to the back to get
yeah.
Why don't you send an email to my email, and then I might be.
Oh shit.
I think she's listening.
Okay. I'm trying to figure out what to do.
Make new friends.
I was thinking in my head again.
Others gold. Make new friends, but keep
Make
the
new
old.
friends, but
One
keep
is
the
silver and the
old.
other's
One is
gold.
silver and the other's gold. Oh.
I'm just trying to come up with a solution. Okay, so now there's one of her when there was two of her before.
Mm-hmm.
I unmuted just to see what's going on. I'm just trying to come up with. The lag got a little bit better, but that's interesting. I don't know why.
Oh yes. Landra says we used to sing this as the song that doesn't end. Yes, and it really doesn't. Once you start singing it, you can't stop.
So, Aurora, if it's like not too personal, what are your Samhain plans?
So typically the last few years I've been connecting with my grandparents. It started with my grandfather, and last year it morphed into all of my grandparents. So typically I go to the astral and do a meditation and interact with them and ask them questions and just kind of hang out essentially. So that's what I will do. Yeah, I light candles in the with the pumpkins outside my door, and make it all atmospheric, and yeah, just kind of hang out with the grandparents.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah,
I saw your video and like you were talking about like your portal board.
Yeah. That I use usually for, like I said, anything that's like coming through, like either sending somebody over or bringing them through. I find that it really helps focus my energy and just myself, and keeps my energy in one place. So for some reason that works really well in terms of connecting. Yeah.
Oh wow, I love that.
Yeah. I've been taking a mediumship class for witches at a local store here for the last month. And every Wednesday we get together and get taught and go through a bunch of exercises and spell work and stuff. And it's been really fun. One of the things that we did was our class leader, our teacher, wanted us to connect with spirit guides. And so, which I already we all have many. So we could connect with ones we already knew, but her I suppose he wanted us to connect with one we hadn't connected with before. And so the interesting thing about this is my grandmother came through as the spirit guide, which I thought was very interesting because she hadn't before. And so that's something that's sort of new that has cropped up in my ancestor communication, I guess, is her wanting to connect. But I suppose I've also been reaching out to her too, not directly before this, but indirectly, in that she passed away in 2016. And I feel like if there was anybody on this planet that like loved me unconditionally, it was her. And and she lived in Spain, and so I didn't get to say goodbye to her. And I really only saw her probably a handful of times in my life, like 10 maybe. And so I decided that this year I'm going to go to Spain and walk the Camino de Santiago in her name, and sort of pay my respects for her, since I haven't been able to do that. And and so that has been very much like festering, like bubbling in the back of my mind, of like getting myself ready to do that and planning it. And so it's been sort of there, like guiding a lot of my choices and focus for the last 3 or 4 months. And so I'm actually not surprised that she came through, because, I'm doing it for her, to connect with her.
Yeah.
Sisters. So
that's awesome. I'm going to try to add Tuva in again.
Yeah.
Hi.
Hey.
Hi.
Hi. You figured it out.
I did. Me and
Hey.
I had an issue. Last time I tried to connect, my audio was reverbing for some reason.
So how you all?
Good.
You look great. I wish I was all done up.
It's not a requirement at all. It's just for fun.
Mind you, I'm normally dressed up, so it makes a change.
Yeah, you are.
I was going to say, you have lots of great costumes or outfits, wardrobe for your videos.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I've got loads. It's all from my old days in the Coven.
It's fun. It's great.
Yeah.
Aww.
So I've got my Viking ones, and then I've got me pagan ones, and then I've got me occult ones.
Wow.
That's fun.
Yeah, it takes up everywhere. Of course, most of the time in the Coven we was like sky clad, so
Whoa, party.
Yay.
apart from our crowns and our shoes, because we was in the woods, but yeah.
I would like that experience.
It's lovely. It's very, very freeing.
Yeah, I bet. I've been
like I do skyclad, but like only if it's me.
You sort of get pushed in at the deep end, so like at your initiation you are naked, but you're blindfolded, so you don't know who's there.
Oh hell no.
Right.
They take the blindfold off and then you're presented with a whole coven.
Oh my god, that's terrifying.
Never met them before. It's quite funny, really. It sort of makes it not a big thing.
Yeah.
Because you look at them and think, oh, they're not all these like sylph-like, beautiful-looking creatures. They're human beings.
Wait, is everybody naked when they take the blindfold off?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I thought you were the only one.
No, everyone is, because they will wear robes during the initiation, but you don't. And then when you've got through the initiation, then they derobe to make you feel better.
Oh, that's good.
Which is nice, I suppose.
Yeah.
Makes
And
it
then-
easier.
And that was the Alexandrian tradition,
Yeah,
right?
that's the Alexandria. Yeah.
Yeah.
It does help when other people are naked with you.
Yeah, and I mean, people don't realise the reasons behind it. You know, they think,
Yeah.
oh, it's a bit kinky. You know? But
And if it is, so what?
we don't care.
I like a little kink.
I'm from Vancouver Island. We have a lot of nude beaches there, so it was something.
Nice.
Everybody does. There's families, everybody there. It's just normal.
Mind you, I
So it's
think
not
I
a-
now,
couldn't imagine getting sand in the the area.
Bring blankets.
You carry a towel with you everywhere, so
yeah, can vouch for that. Especially if you're in the woods and you have to sit down.
Yeah.
Trippy crawlies and
It's quite funny, really, when you look at it. We got caught once by an old couple walking their dog. It was
Oh.
in the morning, in the middle of the woods, and we were all sky-clad doing a ritual. I think it was summer solstice. So we've got someone calling out for, Lucifer, because he's the bringer of light. And someone's at the altar doing the salt water and stuff. And this couple walks past and stops the dog and speaks to the one at the altar and says, "You witches?" He says, stops halfway through and says, "Yes." And then
Oh my God! Imagine that coming upon that.
Oh, that's really good. I love it. I want to
I love that so much. Oh.
yeah, another time, I think it was actually for Samhain. We was actually in the woods again, because we like the woods. And there was a group of youngsters that must have been in a tent somewhere, and they were drunk and they were screaming because they could hear us. Now, my high priest, he used to like to do the invisibility spell. So, invisibility spell. So these guys could hear us but couldn't find us. And so what we did, we went very quiet, and they're going, "Who are you? Where are you?" So we start to make our way out, dragging all the bits with us, and they caught up with us. So my high priest turned around with his sword and he went, "We're witches and we're looking for a sacrifice. Any takers?" And they ended up, sweet as anything, helping us back to the cars with all our bits. So yeah.
Oh, that's
So
brilliant.
what are you all doing for this lovely festival?
We're all quiet.
So my husband just got home. He's like yelling up the stairs for me. I forgot to tell him I was doing this.
Oh,
Aw.
He knows. He knows that the doors are closed. I'm doing things.
so you all got plans?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I just talked about mine. And
Oh,
you guys,
right.
yeah. Does anybody else have anything else they want to add to their own?
Handed out some candy, going trick or treating.
All right.
My daughter's too old to go trick or treating, but she still wants to dress up and try going with her friends that are younger.
Oh.
Aw.
That's
No.
good.
And she doesn't even eat candy. She still wants to just go out.
Fun.
I don't think you're ever too old.
Never.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's not
What
like
are your
that.
plans?
We don't do that so much over here. So,
Oh, you don't?
well, some people do, but it's not really. A lot of people have parties and dress up, but like in the craft and stuff like that, we normally do more about getting in touch with spirit and being setting a place for them. It's in the Norse tradition, we call in, after making a pact with the elves, we then call in the ones that we would like from ancestors, and that includes animals.
Mm-hmm.
So we will call in animals as well. So we'll put a bowl of food down and drink for the animals, and we will put a place for them on the table for the others and give them the meal that we're having. And then we open the door and let them in, and then shut the door, and then we have our feast, and then we open the door to let them go. and it's really nice.
Hmm.
Aw.
So are you going to be doing that with Summer?
Summer, she has issues, like she's disabled, bless her, and so she has a very, like, mentally she can't do too much. She can't remember things. She's on a lot of drugs. She had a transplant when she was 2, her liver.
Aw.
So, and she also has half a spine, so she's in a wheelchair a lot of the time.
Aw.
Yeah, bless her. She's been through a lot, but she's so interested in it that I'm sort of trying to help her learn. But she forgets things, and but she is over here a lot, so you know I'll try to do some things with her. She likes fairies, and she's got like a little fairy that I got for her, which she talks to, and she tells me
Aw.
the fairy talks back to her. So that's rather sweet.
Aw. That's so sweet. She's such a sweetheart.
She is. She's adorable. But then
Aw.
I'm biased.
Yeah, she is.
But
It
I
was
I
have,
like that.
yeah,
It
What's that?
I was going to say, I like that you set up food for the animals. That's sweet. I've never thought of.
yeah. I think it's because in the Norse tradition, you know, most of our deities are into animals, and they have animals in that very, very strong bond, you know,
Yeah,
especially
I'm them animals right now. It makes total sense.
yeah.
I love that. I love that.
Yeah. I
Aw.
mean, Odin loves animals, and so does Freya. I mean, she's a real, like, into saving animals, and cats follow her around, and you know, it's just quite a thing. So we always think when we're giving our what's the word? When you're giving devotions, we don't forget the animals. So if we can't give them an offering on the altar, then I would give food outside and drink, especially in the summer. We'll never forget the drink. So yeah.
Aw.
So
You know,
nice.
that's funny. We in our house, I was always like this, and I'd mentioned earlier that my husband was born in Budapest, and they had the same tradition. We don't throw out bread.
No,
We give it to the animals. Like
exactly.
we throw it out back. Like it's no bread, no, not tortillas, nothing that is bread or bread like. We if it's stale, even if it's moldy, there's raccoons will eat anything. We have those around here. So
Yeah.
but
Oh,
it's that's been something that we always offer to them. I never considered it like that, but now I
yeah.
will.
Oh, it's nice. Because my daughter works in the vet. She's a veterinary nurse. So she's always bringing home waifs and strays, and you know, there's always something going on with the animal kingdom.
Aw.
Yeah. So what sort of stories have you had? Any good ones?
Plenty.
A couple.
Do you want a really creepy one?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. And it's true. It's a true story. And I'll try and shorten it down a bit so that it's not too long.
Was this the one that was on your channel, Tuva?
No. It's another one from my past.
Oh, another one.
When I was growing up, I was in a Victorian house, and it was 3 stories high, and it was very spooky. It was definitely haunted. And when we first moved in, they had the old bells in the kitchen for the servants and gas lighting. That's how old it was when we took it on. And I think I must have been about, how old was I? Probably about 10 or 11. We had a cellar, you know, like down really dark, dingy, nasty thing with wooden steps that went down and a door that closed with a lock. And of course, being a child and my brother and my 2 sisters, we always hated it because it was like in an alcove. So you went in the alcove and then turned left to go down. And we always hung our coats up there. So I knew there was something, because I always knew something was there anyway. But my mum would not accept it. But every night, 6 o'clock on the dot, when we were eating our dinner, we would hear like somebody walking up the stairs of the cellar. And my mum didn't believe it, but she'd turn around and say to my dad, "You did lock it, didn't you?" And every time she got up in the morning, the door would be open of the cellar. And every night, 6 o'clock, you'd hear they're walking up the stairs. Well, it went on for months, and my dad started to do some work down in the cellar. What he was going to do is make it into a workshops, and so he was bringing up all the old dirt and the concrete that was on the floor and trying to make a new floor. And this was getting more and more worse. But not only was we hearing the footsteps coming upstairs, we could hear like a scratching noise, like somebody was scratching on the door to come out, and a sort of noise. Well, I was terrified because things happened to me all the time in that house, and I just knew there was something there and I didn't like it. So my dad was doing this, and I was coming home from school this particular day, and there were police officers outside the house. Okay. Came in, I was shuffled off into the room with my sisters and my brother and told to keep our noses out of it. And they went down the cellar, and turned out there was a skeleton buried in the cellar holding a book.
Oh,
And the book was called Jules Verne Among the Cannibals, and it was made, the edition was a first edition, 1886. And inside the book was an inscription, and it said, "To Arthur Lusby, Christmas 1887.
Wow.
And they took his skeleton away and did an investigation. Obviously, it was very old. It had gone way back to the 1800s, they reckon. So that had been there. And as soon as that happened, it all stopped.
Wow.
Cool.
wow.
That house.
Do you think it was like because it wanted acknowledged?
I think so. I think he probably knew that he was going to be doing some work down there, and he wanted us to release him. But they couldn't work out what had happened to him, whether he'd just been left down there to starve. Maybe they were punishing him for something. Don't know. But yeah.
Wow.
Sorry, so he was buried down there, or he?
Underneath the floor. Whoever had put the flooring in obviously had done it after he was buried. And yeah.
Huh.
But we didn't go to the funeral or anything. We were just relieved to get rid of the noise. It was freaky. It was really horrible. It was a slow stepping. Like someone was hanging on and like pulling themselves up, you know.
Wow.
But
Did they have services for him though?
I don't know how they dealt with it, really. We was told to cut out of it, really. So obviously they cleared us of murder. That was one thing.
I mean, wasn't there.
I know. I mean, we're going back to the 60s, so, you know, there wasn't so much on the news of things, and that sort of thing wouldn't have gone in the newspaper. It was classed as incidental, sort of. We had a lot of old bomb shelters, and around the back of the housing we had some of the houses that had been bombed during the war. So they was all like, we used to play on them, the old bomb sites. We used to climb up into the bits of the bedrooms that were left, and all gone now, but back in the 60s it was quite normal. So spirits were rife around there, you know. So many people died during the war, so no, don't know really.
Wow.
But, oh yes, many stories from that house. My sister and myself terrorized in there.
Oh, I love the seance story.
But I mean, it's followed me around anyway, being sort of, I was born with the abilities, so don't matter where I am, I get spirit, you know. They get a bit annoying sometimes, keep waking me up in the night and things, but I tell them off and they go away. But Summer's getting that, you see, and I'm having to try and help her to be able to, I want to, because what I did with my daughter, she also had the abilities and she didn't like it because she actually physically saw them. So I had to literally shut her down. There is a way of shutting somebody down like that. But it can come back, you know. If they want it to come back, then it will come back. But yeah, it's just a sort of binding type of spell that you do. Excuse my phone. So yeah, I mean,
Cute
what
little
about
tune.
you? Do you see spirits or hear them or? Yeah.
Yeah, we had a story earlier. Yeah, yeah. We had a few of them earlier.
I believe my gift is helping people cross over.
Yeah, yeah, I've done that much of the. You have to when you're dealing with them because they need help. Some of them. So yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, it's really a good experience to do that. But of course, I mean that's what happened when I was in the Coven. They didn't like me using my abilities. They really didn't.
Yeah, I remember that when we were talking
Yeah,
about that during the interview, and
yeah,
I
they
was
just.
so taken back.
I mean,
Yeah.
they think of it as that they are meeting deities and things like that. They do things to bring it on in the circles, but they do it as ritual, and it's not done as what you're feeling and seeing and hearing. So what they do is there's one
Turn that
particular
off.
that they blindfold you and they put you in a blanket and they keep you all tucked up really tight, and then when they unwrap it in front of you, something's going round like that with a candle, and they literally shout, and all that is supposed to muddle the brain enough to shift you. They also tie you so that it restricts the blood. So they go to all that bother to bring it through when they could just use the psychic abilities.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think they're frightened of it, to be honest, because they are dealing with demons and all sorts of deities and angelics. They work with the angelics as well in Alexandrian. So we got Kabbalah in there and everything, and Egyptian stuff. I mean, we've had to learn how to speak some Egyptian in like ritual. Really, it's all sort of mental stuff. It's everything you've got to learn, and then you put that into practice. Whereas what we've got is from the heart and the soul and the earth, and it's natural, and it's much better. I've got to say.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a big difference.
It is. It is. But I'm glad I had the experience of it. And I mean, I worked through to high priesthood. So I done what I went in there to do. First thing he said to me is, "No, you'll never make a high priestess." Not right.
Rude.
We'll see about
Thank
that.
you. Challenge accepted.
Yeah.
Why did he say that? Do you know?
He was I don't know. I mean, he thought I was a bit of a mouse, and I probably was when I first joined, because you get a lot of people in covens that are very, very strong-willed, very sort of forceful and opinionated, and so they take over. And if you can't keep up with that, then you're like that. And I had to find a voice to start with, and then I had to. They were all joking around and not doing what they were told, whereas I worked at it. And then they got annoyed that I got somewhere and they didn't. And the thing is, he would give us work to go home and work on, and the others would say, "Well, don't bother about doing that as soon as you get home. Just do it in your own time." But I would have it done the next day, ready to go, because that's who I am. That's the way I am, and so I got to high priesthood because of it. Because of the high priestess was brilliant in there, and she said, "You will make third degree because I can see it in you." So, but it took a while. Took quite a while, but and then when I got it, I changed. Decided, I think I'll go into Seder now. Oh, it's funny, isn't it? I mean, have you all changed your paths over the times, or?
Oh yeah. Yeah. I feel like it's just like I just expand on what I already have, you know what I mean? But like
add to
yeah.
it. Yeah.
I'm eclectic, so I know a lot of people frown on eclectic witches, but you know what? It is what it is.
I think it's great.
Yeah.
See, my thing is I'm not on TikTok, so all this frowning on people, I've never seen it. I don't know if that's the kind of place that happens.
I'm not on TikTok. Well, I was, but I got annoyed with it in the end.
Yeah. I've definitely had a multiple paths. My mom, when we were growing up, she didn't want us. We were raised in a Christian way, but she didn't want us to get baptized. So I took that to, be a learning lesson. It started out with, really did Jesus exist, and kind of following that, and then getting into Judaism because, he would have been Jewish. Found that was such a mind blowing thing, but always had. Since the early 90s had some kind of started out with Wicca, realized that paganism was a path in itself, learned about Scott Cunningham and the solitary path, and being able to continue with that. I had a little bit of a Jewish experience. I used to work for a Jewish organization, and they really just invited me in, literally into their homes. I got to celebrate the holidays, a lot of the services, a few B'nai Mitzvah, mitzvot, and learning the language and little things like that. So, getting into Kabbalah and some of these other religions, it's easier to draw parallels because you know where a lot of that comes from.
Definitely.
At one time, I was for my first husband, and I had an experience about this. I should probably make a video about it. But I was baptized as Catholic now. As many Catholics do, I have relapsed. But still, having taken communion, just that feeling, a part of having that invitation to a table, I still think about that. And the only other place that I'm able to find that is in the pagan and witchy communities, because literally what we're doing right here is such a beautiful thing, just sharing stories and not literally breaking bread, but bonding. And honestly, I think this one is deeper because we all have our own stories, as opposed to being, kind of reading from the same story in different contexts. We all literally bring something to that table.
Right.
Brilliant. Yeah. So we've got. What are you over there, Star? Are you a witch?
We saw your wings going earlier.
Yeah, I tried to turn. They got on my nerves, but.
Oh, and then you're a unicorn, and you're a witch. But I bet you're a garden witch, and I bet you've been riding a unicorn horse.
I can piggyback rides.
Oh, it's nice though that you're all dressed up. So have you got more people waiting, Star?
I think this is it.
Yeah.
Oh, stop it. Stop. There we go. Okay. I sent the invite to a few close friends, but I don't think a few of them are feeling too good today. So next year perhaps. Because I know Alondra is here in the chat and she's not feeling too good.
Oh, bless. Oh, I hope you feel better if you're listening, Alondra.
Oh, she's here.
I think Andrea also said she had a migraine too.
Oh.
Aww.
I just realized I skipped a question that Draven had from what I was talking about. Can I answer that?
Absolutely, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, he was commenting on the Camino de Santiago, saying, how long is the Camino de Santiago that's part of a pilgrimage route? Yeah, it's the pilgrimage to St. James, who is technically buried in a cathedral in Santiago. And there's like 15 different routes to get there, but this is like a pilgrimage that has been traveled for hundreds of years by Catholics in particular, to pay their respects, to, you know, commune in this huge cathedral. And so you can walk from like Portugal, you can walk from Italy, you can walk from France, you can walk from pretty much anywhere in Europe. And it can be as long as a couple months walking. It can be as short as a couple weeks. Usually you could go for a day if you wanted to walk in it a day, but there's like at the end they have this setup where you can get what they call like your credentials, which is like basically a stamped certificate that says you walked at least 100 kilometers along the Camino de Santiago. So if you want that certificate, you have to walk at least 100 kilometers, which is about 60 miles. So that's how long it is. Yeah, my grandmother was Catholic, so I feel like this is a good way to honor her and connect with her.
That's nice.
So how many days will that take?
I don't know. I'm still deciding because, like, the most popular route is the French route, and that takes about 5 weeks, like between 4 and 5 weeks to walk.
Wow.
And that's a long time away and work and all that stuff. So I would love to be able to do that, but I don't know if I can. I'm still figuring out what I can actually manage to do. Yeah. So
going to hike cardio training beforehand. Oh my goodness. Ooh. Even doing 10 kilometers a day, you don't know the terrain. It can be up and down. You could do 15 a day. You could only do eight or 5, depending on.
Yeah.
Not all flat either. So it could take you 10 days. It could take you 10 weeks.
Yeah, it depends on how fit you are. I mean, each route is different and some are harder than others. And so the nice thing about the French route is that because so many people walk it, so many pilgrims walk it, there's a lot of amenities.
Oh, that's
good.
Oh, cool.
So it's been built up and literally you're walking from town to town and like basically you're walking through rural hills and valleys, you're walking through, you know, little tiny towns and villages, you're walking through big cities, you're walking through it all. And so, and because of that, infrastructure has developed. So there's places to stay, multiple places to stay, you know, cafes along the way, little pit stops. So if you got into any trouble, like that would be the Camino to get into trouble on because there are people there to help. Whereas some of the other routes are like more mountainous, like less villages and cities and stuff along the way. So you could be walking a whole day without meeting anybody or coming across any kind of village, and walking from, you know, your first place, like the place you woke up and left to the place you're going to go to bed and walking that whole time. And I think that sounds cool. Like in my head, I love that idea, but like from a realistic level of somebody who's never walked it before, I probably should try and just walk the French part of the French Camino and like see how it goes instead of like in my fantasy about this being like, I don't know, me communing with, you know, nature and it'll guide me. And I think I need a little more infrastructure around the experience, at least the first time. And if I love it and I want to adventure out more, then we'll think about going back and doing something a little, you know, harder to do.
Wow.
But I hope to, like, you know, I'm planning out like how I want to structure it for myself because I don't want to just go, like, I'm doing it for a very specific reason. So when I get up in the mornings, I want to make sure that I feel connected to my grandmother, my spirit guide on this journey, and like make sure I'm tuned into her and like what she tells me along the way. And, you know, and so that will be something very different for myself because I've never done anything like that before. So I'm excited. I'm looking forward to it. I'm also terrified.
When are you doing it, Aurora?
I think I'm gonna do it next September.
Right.
Yeah, like the fall time, so it's not so hot because it
Mhm.
gets so brutally hot there.
Okay.
Yeah,
Well, it'll give you time to build yourself up, wouldn't it?
yeah,
Yeah.
that too.
That'll be a journey for all of us to follow along with you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I hope to be able to capture it, or at least part of it anyway, and be able to post about it and, you know, my experiences and what I garnered from it, being that it is a very Catholic experience, which I've never had before in my life. Like, I've never been a religious person. I'm still, I don't consider myself a religious person, you know. I consider myself a spiritual person.
Yeah.
But so it'll be something very, very different for me.
We have a pilgrim walk, which goes all the way around all the. You've heard of the stones, like Stonehenge.
That's exciting. I heard your journey.
It goes all the way through all the countryside, and it goes from stones to burrows, all to do with the old Saxon burial places, and
That's really cool.
that goes a long way. So yeah. And there's no stop-offs really, because it is just like a path that goes all the way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You got to be able to camp well too and take all of that stuff with you, I imagine, if there's any stops.
Yeah, we have so much history over here.
I know.
Yeah, I'm jealous.
I was saying to you, was it you,
I want to live over there.
Chislehurst Caves? Someone I was telling about Chislehurst Caves, and they go way back before the Romans, before like the early Druids, and you can go right down deep into the caves. They go for miles, and they used them in the Second World War as well. So the ones that were nearer the surface was turned into like places with beds in, and they had a church in there and a little hospital, and it was used during the Second World War for the bombing when we were being bombed. So it's really cool in there. It's very spooky as well, because it's pitch black, and you have a little lantern that you walk around with, and you go down, and it just goes on and on and on, and then they take you to where the Druids sacrificed people, and the stone is still there with stains on it.
Wow.
And that's going back centuries, isn't it?
That's crazy that there's still stains on the stones.
I know.
That's a lot of blood.
Yeah. And it was normally kids that they did it to as well, which was very sad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sounds like what we're doing right now. Sorry, bad reference.
You're fine. Don't worry.
No, I actually just had to finish up a response paper for it was satire, but it was like 1729 satire, and it was I forget the name. The guy who wrote Gulliver's Travels wrote this satirical piece about population control, and it was, don't get grossed out, and my apologies if this triggers anyone, just eat the children. And he was being like, he was like, oh, my American friend. And that's when I realized it was satire. I was like, they weren't friends with the Americans in 1729. So it was kind of a jab at Americans. But yeah, I'm like, the teacher, I'm like, will you please stop making us? Because then the other one was, we had to write a paper in response to a Stephen King, one of Stephen King's opinion pieces. I'm like, is this because it's Halloween? So he definitely has a bent sense of humor, but
well, yeah, I mean,
he would say that, I'm like, I don't think anybody actually did, but it was, I'm like, this is what the 1700s people thought was funny. Okay.
When we was in the Second World War, Gerald Gardner, have you heard of Gerald Gardner?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, well, him and his coven, and there were a lot of other covens, got together when Hitler was about to invade Britain, and they did a ritual that went on for weeks, and they didn't stop. They carried on doing it, and people died. They literally dropped down with exhaustion and died. There was even an 83-year-old lady that took part, and she died.
Wow.
And Hitler was then got rid of, and all the witches had got together in the
Wow.
whole country, and they fought with the magic, with the power.
Wow. I wonder
And
if we could do that now.
we need to be doing something. It is escalating. Everything is escalating. The news was really bad tonight.
Jonathan Swift. I'm sorry. That was the man's name. I'm sorry.
Okay.
But no, I agree with I try to stay away from the news. Like it's
hard, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. But sometimes I think, you know, it's also good to be warned about something in case, you know. But yeah, we must try to keep our minds set on positive and good.
yeah. What do they say? Hope for the best, prepare for the worst.
Yeah.
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 I've had a lot of success with that.
Yeah.
I'm kind of overwhelmed by the amount of craziness and need that's in the world
Yeah.
right now. Like, I mean, and when I say right now, I want to say in the last few years, not just today.
Yeah.
It just, like you said, it keeps escalating. Like the next thing, Ukraine, Afghanistan, you know, like now we have Palestine and Israel, and like, why can't people just? I've never understood why war. I mean, I understand it. I understand it, but
Yeah.
my heart doesn't understand it.
Yeah.
My heart,
Right.
like how can you think it's okay to kill anybody, but especially like children and
I know.
the elderly? Like, how is that okay? I don't know. I'm just yeah.
When we think of war, we think about countries fighting against countries.
And
this was part of the conversation I was having the other day, is that most people don't put it in the context of people like us. You know, we don't want this to happen. The people who are sacrificing the most, up to and including their lives, are people who want nothing to do with it. They don't fight in the army. They've never taken up arms.
Yeah.
And now they're gone because of whatever it is that's going on. You know, I won't, you know, say anything on it, but just, and it's not just, you know, what's going on in the Middle East. There are things happening here for the same reasons, and
exactly.
and it just, for what?
Yeah.
You know, and 200 years, like what this guy had written, if it wasn't for, you know, him having some other mark on the world, nobody would care. Like that would have been lost to the ages. These things that we fight over that seem so important to us now, it's happened in the same places for millennia, since people existed. But it never makes it okay. And the people who are suffering the most damage are the ones who have nothing to gain from whatever the impetus is for it.
Definitely. All we can do is help with our positiveness and try and put that energy. If there's enough people doing that, it obviously not going to sort it out, but it will help in some way.
Yeah, I feel like stand in solidarity for the other people drinking tea.
Yeah, I feel like if enough of us witches come together, we can do like a massive world healing spell.
This is it. This is it. We could all do that, like what they did in here in World War II. I mean, that was an amazing feat. I mean, they just went on, and they didn't stop. They didn't stop to sleep. They didn't stop to. Obviously, they took drink and tried to eat while they were doing it. But there were thousands of these witches, and we're going back to a time when we had the Witchcraft Act. So the last witch to be put in prison in this country was only in 1954. And she wasn't even a witch, she was a medium. And they put her in prison. Helen something, and Helen Duncan. Yeah. She did get let out eventually, but because she had mediumistic abilities, she knew something because the spirits were telling her, and she held these circles where she used to manifest, the ectoplasm, and it used to take shape, and it told her about a ship going down. And so she warned the people, because there was a reporter there, that this ship was going to be going down, and named the ship and everything, and it did go down. So they took her and put her in prison because they said she was a spy. But they got her on the Witchcraft Act.
Wow.
Yeah, I feel like if the first wind anyone caught that this actually works, there would probably be some reason for us to get put away back in the 30s and the after our World War I. People were women specifically were put away just for being difficult.
Yeah. They had a word for it, didn't they? I can't remember what it was.
I don't remember what it was, but I mean, institutionalized, like Bedlam and Uproar. Institutionalized because you had a differing opinion. But I like the idea of focusing on the positive. I mean, there's got to be something good that comes from the bad. I always try to look for silver linings, so I'm definitely with you there.
As you say, I think sometimes these wars happen not because spirit want it to happen or deity, but because it's a way the world cleanses itself, and because of population everything's overpopulated and people get annoyed with each other, and it just throws it all up in the air, and we end up with wars. That's what
eventually. If you, I mean, you didn't hear Kara's story from earlier, but these people who, present themselves as gifted and helpful, eventually show their true colors, and you see what really lurks inside that they don't want you to see, the hidden parts that, and we all have parts of ourselves that we keep hidden. I don't think that anyone is all good or all bad. But there is still like that collective there is an agenda there, and no one ever wants you to see what their personal agenda is, because it's not always good. It's not always love and light, but that is, there's a parallel there for sure. Yeah. They just want what tastes good.
Well, I've got to say, our Norse gods are similar. They're always at each other, and always wars going on between them, and it just shows that we're so much alike.
Yeah.
And we're all quiet.
Yeah. We got into a heavy topic.
We're all pondering.
So what are you drinking? Is that what you was talking about earlier, Star?
It is the bubbling cauldron. New mocktail. I don't have as much alcohol as I used to, so.
I had, this was cranberry juice. I also can't really drink alcohol. They don't tell you when they're telling you about the birds and the bees in middle school that eventually are going to get to a point where you can't sleep, you get night sweats and hot flashes, and then alcohol makes that worse. I get to a point like I can have a glass of wine maybe, but then like if I start getting any kind of tipsy, I just regret it. Like I'm like, oh, I wish I hadn't done this. And it's not even like I could feel the kind of fuzzy lightheadedness, but it just whatever that is. Yeah, that's where I'm at in life. So I just drink a lot of juice.
I'm lucky I'm a crone.
Honestly, I'm there. I wish I cannot. I'm like, just come on, get it over with already. Like it, and it just gets worse. I'm like, what? So yeah, I plan on doing some videos about that.
When I go to the doctor or you go to the hospital over here, and the first thing they say, they look me up and down. He said, "Are you pregnant?" No. That'd be a miracle.
I laugh now. I'm like, I doubt it. If I am, I'm not saying that way. Like, I can get there. I just can't. My body can't stay there anymore. Yikes. Won't they just ask you that question?
Well,
Female. Are you
yeah.
pregnant?
Oh, they ask men
What's
that
wrong,
now
Mom?
over here. It's all on the paper now. They have to.
They have to?
Yeah.
I guess.
And when I went the other day, they called me what's the word? A womb bearer.
A womb bearer.
I'm not a woman. I'm a womb bearer.
I mean, you're not wrong.
That's a new one.
There you go. I thought I was born a woman, but there you go. Yeah, as I say, it's all getting rather silly. It's all happened since COVID.
Yeah.
It's an interesting place, like evolution in terms of like separating sex and gender, like separate things, which has never happened before. And now all of a sudden there's a split of like, wow, there are so many combinations of how you can view yourself versus what your genitalia is, your biology. It's very interesting. Like, I mean, I don't care. I have no attachment to what anybody calls themselves, but
exactly.
You know,
I don't mind what they call themselves. I just don't particularly like being told what I should say.
Really.
Yeah.
You know, I remember I forget what it was, but it was also I was at a doctor, and it was people who give birth or something like that, and I'm like, don't you mean women? And it didn't occur to me, like, it was still kind of early on in this global journey.
Yeah.
And then I thought about it, I'm like, why does that affect me? Why does, you know, I did the shadow work on it, and I realized that it shouldn't affect me. What someone else calls themselves, if it makes other people feel comfortable to say womb bearer instead of, you know, in a medical sense, because doctors have to look at it that way. It doesn't make my experience any less. It doesn't make it any more. So, you know, long as it provides comfort to the people who need to hear that. Just don't call me late for dinner.
Oh dear. But the other day I noticed on the form on my medical records it said assigned female at birth.
That's called ASVAB. I think that sounds fantastic. Do you remember Absolutely Fabulous?
Yeah.
With Eddie and Patsy?
Yeah.
That's what I picture. Like they were both assigned female at birth.
Yeah.
Sister.
It certainly is an unusual world now.
Well, that's the thing. Like, this is, you know, when you talk about things like transgender and diverse genders, it's existed everywhere.
Yeah.
For forever. You know, if you watch the movie Gangs of New York, they have a term that they call them, and my husband and I, we actually rewound it. I was like, okay, so it was a thing back then, and you look it up, and it really was.
What was
in other countries, it is its own separate gender, which that's just how people handle
it. The Roman army was like that, wasn't it?
Yeah, look at our gods. Look at you know, there are deity who are, you know, I forget what the word is, not amorphic, but they're neither here nor there. It's you know, it's kind of it's a genderless form for, and when you think about creator and your little kids and you're growing up, and like I'm speaking on my own experience in a Christian home, God's man. Is God a man? Is God a woman? Those are the things, and there are people who really, really feel that deep in their soul. I personally am not one of them. I just know that I am glad that there are women out there who don't have to have hot flashes for whatever reason. I'm jealous of them, and I'm done with this.
I have them now, and I'm only 33. But like I have like a lot of like endocrine issues and thyroid and adrenals. So I'm like, you know, I used to make fun of my mom because she'd like freeze me out, you know, being like, I'm having a hot flash. And now I'm like, this is no joke. I can't sleep because I get so hot. Like, this is not funny.
You want to peel your skin off and just put it in the
Yeah.
freezer until
You
Yeah.
feel
it's
like you're
over.
baking alive and your blood's boiling. Yeah.
And your
I
face goes all red and all down, and people go, "Oh, you've gone all red." What's up?
But these are, these are called rites of passage.
They
Right.
are.
This is, whatever waits on the other side of this, I'm sure is
Got to be
it's
better.
got to be better than what we're going through right
It's
now.
gonna be
so.
good times. Fingers
Oh,
crossed.
Oh dear. Oh,
When I
just
started
glad
going
I'm
through
at
the
the other
change,
end.
my daughter was going through the change at the same time as a adolescent, and we were just like, boom, 2 bighorn ram sheep.
Oh,
Oh, I got surgically induced menopause, and she was going through hormonal change at the same time. It was bad. It was bad 8 months of our
Oh.
lives.
hmm.
That's right around middle school, right?
Yeah, she was about 12.
Yeah. That
That
is,
was
my daughter's
crazy.
24 now, and I remember those days. And she was not by any stretch difficult. She was just super secretive, and it was just the whole, it was the collective of all the middle school girls. Like they band together and just be hormonal all at once. I'm like, yo.
That's how it happens, right?
Yeah.
Too bad you can't just skip those years. Just
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like middle school. Oh God, no. Oh, hell.
Mm-mm.
Hell.
So is that
All the
what
hormones.
age group is that? Because over here we haven't got that system.
Oh, like 11, 12.
Oh right, yeah, that would be prime. Oh no, that would be our senior school. Yeah. So we have like infants, junior or primary, and then senior, and then sixth form, and then college.
I think your college is like our equivalent to high school. That's
Oh,
what I
is
was.
it?
Yeah,
Okay.
I think.
Oh.
It's like our public schools are private.
Oh.
Yeah. All the posh people go to the public school.
Okay.
Which don't make sense. And
Mm-mm.
the public school are the state schools. Like
So
the ones for everyone else is like state schools. Or you have your private independent schools that anyone can go to.
Mm.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. Strange.
Well, this was a lot of fun. Oh my gosh, time's flying by. It's 8:00 already, and we started at 6.
Yeah.
It's 12 o'clock here.
My goodness, Tufa.
It's okay. I'm a late bird anyway, normally. It was just I got confused because I thought my eyesight, Star,
Yeah.
when you put the text, I thought it said 8:39. I'm thinking that's a strange time. So,
I wonder why you had that number.
Message.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking, oh well, that'll be 2 o'clock in the morning
Yeah.
for me. That's no good. And then I saw
Yeah, I was
you.
wondering.
Oh, it wasn't that time then.
Would it be easier, like, if I send voice clips in the future? That way, like, all you have to do is, like, click a button and you can hear, like...
Might be better, yeah.
I can do that for you. I have no problem with that.
Yeah, it's just the little bits I can't really. I have to use a spyglass.
Oh my goodness.
Magnifying glass, not spyglass. Yeah. Yeah, until it's not going to get any easier. I mean, it's getting worse, but they are going to operate eventually.
That's good.
But I'm not looking forward to it because it's a risky op and it could go either way. So, and I've only got the one eye that's working properly. So,
I feel that.
yeah.
I understand.
And what they're saying is because I keep getting bleeds in it, they've got to deal with it. So I've got to make the decision. They won't make it for me. And I'm like thinking, well, do I go on as long as I can before having it done in case it goes completely?
Right.
Or, it's just a really difficult decision.
Yeah,
I can understand.
Yeah. And every time I go to the clinic, they say, well, have you made your mind up yet? And I'm thinking,
Oh my goodness.
yeah. I just, I mean, obviously what will be will be. I just have to deal with it, but it is freaky to think about.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm sure it'll be fine. Just have to jump in and say, yeah, do it.
Yeah.
But the other thing is
I don't know when the time is.
be awake while they're doing it, and that's put me off a bit as well.
Oh, that's scary. That's
Is it-
scary.
Is it laser surgery or is it?
No, I'm having laser on the bleed, which they often do. They just numb the eyeball and put a thing on to keep your eyelids open, and they just laser.
Oh.
But the other op is actually where they're going to be taking the lens out and then going behind the eye and cleaning out the retina.
Wow.
And they want me awake for it.
That's terrifying.
Yeah,
I got my eyes lasered to get them fixed to see longer distance, and it's terrifying. I was
yeah.
That sounds mountainous. That is.
Yeah. I don't mind anything else, any other part of the body, deal with it, you know. But the eyes, I'm really very sensitive.
Right.
Yeah.
I understand. Oh my.
But
My husband's yelling.
It's life.
Yeah.
Anyway, on a happier note, let's all have a wonderful Samhain or elf night for me.
I like
Yes.
Yeah.
And everybody who's watching as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, guys, have a wonderful Samhain. And it was so wonderful to see so many guests pop on here. Yeah, it was wonderful to have you all here. And it was wonderful to have, like, everyone in the audience hanging out with us.
Yeah.
And, like, it was so nice to meet you guys. Like, Kara, I haven't met you before. Peggish Peg, and it was awesome to, like, meet you and get to know you.
Likewise.
It was a lot of fun.
Thank you for the opportunity.
Thanks for being here. And I will link everyone's channel in the description. I've just been running around like crazy today. But I will link that today in the description, so that way everyone can just go on over, click your links, check your channels out. Because you guys have a lot of wonderful stuff going on your channels, and I want to make sure that gets shared.
Oh, bless you. Thank you for hosting it.
Yeah, thanks.
Absolutely.
Thank you for having us.
It was awesome. It was awesome to have you guys.
I'm sorry all about the getting on and causing all the grief. I'm always
No, you're fine.
It was hilarious.
Was it? I'll have to watch it back just to see that.
We were having
singing
fun,
it around.
So.
We were having fun.
And that was an appropriate song too. Make new friends, but keep the old. One is silver and the other's gold.
Yeah.
I like it. I like it.
Oh well.
Is there any closing statements that anyone wants to share?
Keep your bedroom windows shut.
Salt the windows. Sorry, I've been watching a lot of Supernatural.
Of that show.
I love that show. Are you a Dean or are you a Sam kind of
Sam?
Oh,
Sam.
I'm a Dean. I'm a Dean.
Sam.
Okay then, guys. I suppose I better go to bed.
Yeah, it's late for you. Oh my goodness. Oh, and I do want to say, for those who are interested in joining the Open Circle Discord server, or you're already there, there will be an after party over there, where all Discord members can come and hang out if they want to. No, like, you don't have to if you don't want to. That's totally fine. Like, I just wanted to put that out there for everyone in the chat. And get a little after party going on over there. So, and the link to the server should be in the channel description. I don't know, but you can easily find it. So yeah, this was awesome. I hope you'll have a happy Samhain, and we'll have to do this again next year.
I like it. The first annual.
Yeah.
Yes, indeed. Great to meet you all. And thank you so very much for having me, too.
Have a nice
This was awesome.
Well,
Happy
nice
Samhain.
evening for all of you. See you all soon.
Bye.
Take care.
Later.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
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 Bye. Do you need help getting out, or do you need me to?
It's all right.
You want me to do it?
Yes, please.
Okay. Bye.
Oh, darling, take care.
Bye-bye. You too. Bye, everyone, and see y'all over in the Discord server for the after party. See ya.